Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Stan Rumbaugh. I am the chairman of the Board of Commissioners of the Tacoma Housing Authority, and I want to thank you all for coming to this celebration on the occasion of Michael Mirra's retirement. Something that I know Michael has always wanted to do and maybe never had the opportunity, and that is to throw out the first ball at the Yankees game. We're not at the game, but Michael, here you go. My ball. I want to welcome all of you who have come here today to celebrate with Michael the occasion of his retirement. I want to recognize a few of the folks I saw. It would be really good if this worked better. Anyway, Congresswoman Strickland, welcome. Thank you for coming. I saw that Representative 5 from the 27th Ledge District is here. Our county auditor, Julie Anderson, is here. Of course, Michael Mirra and Nancy Sprick are here. Nicholas Mirra and his guest, Emily and her guest. Dave Wilson, who is apparently a driver today. Lewitt Pritchard is important for bringing the roasted pig that we're all going to enjoy later. Our acting executive director, April Black, is here. Julie LaRoque. Courtney Akoff is here representing Congressman Kilmer's office, and we'll get to some others in a little bit. So, on ceremonies like to this one in days past, we'd be celebrating the opening of a new facility or acknowledging the anniversary of some special achievement. Perhaps we would be noting the successful completion of a meaningful step up the ladder of social justice for our residents or others of our stakeholders as THA perseveres in its service to the community. The past 19 years of Michael's tenure have provided many opportunities for such occasions. We gather here today instead for a moment of recognition, of reflection on Michael Mirra's many accomplishments as he guided our agency through the waters, sometimes turbulent, sometimes uncharted, rarely calm. This guidance was always with an unerring sense of THA's mission to provide high-quality, stable, and sustainable housing and supportive services to people in need. To achieve this in a way that helps people prosper, helps our communities become safe, vibrant, prosperous, attractive, and just. Never have there been more of our fellow citizens in need, and never has it been more important to ensure that all of our community members share in the prosperity and vibrancy that is within our city. Years ago, Michael had the foresight to understand that the affordable housing Tacoma will have in the next 10 or 15 years is the affordable housing THA secures today. Securing this affordable housing has been our focus and our preoccupation. It would take far too much time to recount all the many successes for which Michael's leadership is responsible. These are a matter of record, and no dry recitation or simple list reading is suitable for today's celebration. It'll be far more instructive for today's gathering to discuss the impact of Michael's force of leadership and inspiration. It's been said that innovation distinguishes a great leader from an average one, and that a leader is a dealer in hope. Since the Hope 6 grant that seeded Salishan's renewal at the beginning of Michael's work with the Tacoma Housing Authority, innovation and inspiration have characterized his entire tenure here. It is significant to recognize the environment in which these many achievements took place. We live in times when polarization has seemingly permeated every aspect of our body politic, our interpersonal relationships. In the past few years in particular, there's been much trouble in the land. Michael's unique talent, his genius really, is the capacity and the will to rally people of many political, attitudinal, and social stripes to a common purpose. Anyone can guide the ship through calm waters, and much more difficult challenge comes when the waters are roiling. Goals are not achieved in this environment of dissent and siloing by those whose voices are loud and shrill, those whose minds are closed to different, even divergent views, and who believe in the singular value of only their own ideas rarely succeed in today's social order. Michael's style of quiet engagement, subtle maneuverings, and the ability to influence events through patient and persistent reasoning drive his success. These qualities set him apart from the boisterous and the bellicose, whose belittling bellowing serves only to divide us and distract us from our mutually beneficial objectives. Without leadership that can truly engage, society stands still. We've seen this all over. Michael is able to stand strong to his convictions without rudeness. He can be bold without bullying. Michael manifests pride in the Tacoma Housing Authority's work without arrogance, and is often humorous, however dryly, without trivializing. The achievements of Michael's tenure speak volumes about the efficacy of his leadership approach in today's troubled times. He does not seek the limelight, nor does he carry an ego that demands praise or adulation. Michael is consistently and enormously generous in attributing success, which comes about largely as a consequence of his influence, to those who support the mission. People embrace Michael's ideas and his programs because of the buy-in he creates with others. And people must buy into the leader before they will buy into the vision. It is in this way that THA has put forth a remarkable string of successful efforts that has truly placed us in national prominence, with other housing authorities large and small seeking to emulate our attainments. THA has become a housing authority, as Michael likes to say, that punches well above its weight. There are attributes of Michael that I've personally sought to adopt and some to avoid. For example, I went out and bought a car that's actually older than his 1982 Toyota. Conversely, there are certain of Michael's notions and practices that I will never adopt. I will never support the inclusion of Brooklyn and Queens Day as a paid holiday in Washington State or anywhere west of Rikers Island. It's also my intention to forbear sitting down to drink an egg cream concoction that some are apparently able to swallow without gagging. As we celebrate Michael's prodigious body of work and wish him well in the next chapter of his life, we look to the future of THA. Michael has always gone out of his way to boost the confidence and self-esteem of THA employees in all capacities. That is how we have an agency-wide team of achievers. He's empowered others. As a result, the Tacoma Housing Authority has a deep bench, and Michael has instilled in others the conviction and the will to carry on with pursuit of our mission and our vision. As much as anything, Michael leaves us with an assemblage of talent and dedicated people who are the heart and lungs of the Tacoma Housing Authority. Their growth and development, the creativity and energy they bring will be among the most enduring of Michael's legacy. Michael, you've been our inspiration and our guiding light. While many of those in our town have benefited greatly from your expertise and leadership, do not even know you. So on their behalf and our own, you have our profound gratitude. So as the Bard wrote over 500 years ago, I can no answer make but thanks, and ever thanks. Thank you. Please welcome Congresswoman Strickland.
Well, hello, everyone. It is my honor to be here today. I'm Marilyn Strickland, representing the 10th Congressional District of Washington State, which includes the mighty east side of Tacoma. Michael, thank you so much for your years of service. I came into your life as mayor halfway through it, and I know that for those of us who live in Tacoma, who visited Tacoma, and just who are part of the region, we owe you our debt of gratitude. As I think about getting to know Michael over the years, I remember our meetings. So at City Hall, there's the 12th floor conference room, and a lot of ideas happen in that conference room. And Michael would be patiently waiting. I'd come to greet him, and he'd come wearing his straw hat, and under his arm was a tattered edition of the New York Times review of books. And I remember thinking to myself, Michael always travels with that. But if you think about the projects that he has been responsible for, they are rooted in a few very important things. He believes that all people are entitled to a place called home that is habitable, that is clean, and that is something that's going to help them thrive. Michael has always understood that housing is about so much more than a roof over your head. And you were able to extend the portfolio of what you did to include education, financial security, literacy, and workforce development. And when I think about some of the projects that he and I had a chance to work on together, we think about this Hope 6 project, a national model that kind of made me a rock star at the U.S. Conference of Mayors because so many people at the national level referred to it. I remember being in a meeting with then Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, who talked about Tacoma and the McCarver Housing Project, marrying education with helping families be stable. As we think about Hillside Terrace, taking a property in Tacoma, renovating it and making it beautiful in a place that includes daycare, a beautiful outside space, and really guaranteeing that people who live there have a space that is beautiful, that helps them thrive, and again, a place the community can be proud of. When I think about the McCarver Housing Project, when I made a challenge to the community during my time as mayor for an all-hands-on-deck approach to education, Michael was one of the first people who stepped up and said, what can we do? So by getting grants and providing stability for families at McCarver Elementary School and ensuring that families stayed put for 5 years, we changed the trajectory for so many families. We got them employed, their kids did better in school, and we demonstrated that the Tacoma Housing Authority is a national model of how housing can and should work. So Michael, on behalf of the many people I've had a chance to represent during my time as mayor and the many that I represent today, I thank you eternally for the work that you have done. We are a better community because of your leadership. You have raised the bar so high for housing authorities around the entire country. And from the bottom of my heart and many people that I speak for, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Congresswoman Strickland. I'd like to introduce some of the other commissioners of the Tacoma Housing Authority. I know that Derek Young is unable to be with us today, but our Vice Chair, Shennetta Smith, is here.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Stanley said, my name is Shennetta Smith. Michael is very dear to my heart. One is because he found me. He and also Frankie Johnson. And they came to me because of some of the things that I was doing in the community. I was a little nervous at first. I just thought I was getting on the Salishan Association board. You know, so I didn't know that they were actually coming to talk to me about being a part of the Tacoma Housing Authority board. So I'm a resident here in Salishan. I've been here for 11 years. And when I came, it was a different Salishan when I came. And I saw some things that I didn't like. So that's why I ran to a lot of the boards. So I was like, hey, listen, okay, I don't want to go to jail, number one. Number two, I know that there's a different way that I could fight. And one is to get on the board and to have a conversation and to find out what can we do as a community, because it's not an individual thing, but it's a community thing. And when I got a chance to meet Michael, a lot of people had such great words to say about this man before I could even meet him. And he met me in my kitchen. And he said, Shennetta, he said, would you like to go and sit down? I said, yes, sir. I said, come on the patio. And we came on the patio, and he sat down, and he told me who he was. And I didn't know that I was speaking to a giant. I had no idea. I felt like I was sitting on the side of a sidewalk, just swinging my legs, having a conversation. But this man has done such an amazing work within this community. And I will let you know that I am one of the beneficiaries of that work. And I remember when I first came here, I was coming out of I know I got only a few minutes, and I'll make sure I keep it short. But I was living in the homeless shelter before I knew anything about Tacoma housing. I was from another state. And so when I got here, I couldn't believe of all the services that was offered to the people in this community. And I was like, what? You mean to tell me you'll pay me to go to school to better me? Because see, I came from a community where it is not a lot of opportunities. But it was Michael and the staff of Tacoma Housing Authority that came together and was like, hey, listen, this is what people need in order for them to move to the next phase of living. And because of that, Michael have given me the opportunity to see some things that I perhaps would have never seen before. I was able to go to DC to be a part of the NARO conference and get a chance to meet all of the executive directors across the US. And each one of them said, Michael Mirra is your executive director? I was like, yeah. They're like, wow, that guy is amazing. So not only did I hear only local people, I heard people across the US that speak of the work that has been led by Michael Mirra. And he has left us in such a wonderful position to continue the work. This is not the end of the chapter, this is only the beginning. And so I just want to tell you all that I love, love, love Michael Mirra. I almost broke a tear. I did, when he called me. He was like, Shennetta, I'm gonna let you know I'm getting ready to do this. I was like, no, oh no, you can't do it. Because he sat down and talked to me as an individual to find out, who am I? A lot of times people are so busy in their everyday situation, they don't have time to sit down and have a conversation. And he took a time out. This giant sat down on the side of the sidewalk to have a conversation with me. And I am grateful. I love you, Michael, and I'll see you in the next chapter of life.
All right, thank you, Shennetta. Next up is Minh-Anh Hodge. Do you want to say a few words for us? Come, step right up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here to help celebrate the retirement of Michael Mirra, a beloved individual in our community. You have all heard many, many great qualities about Michael as a leader, as a legend. I just want to take a couple minutes to share with you my observation of Michael, the man that I have known during the last 6 years. Michael is patient, unassuming, modest, and he had led this agency with integrity and humbleness. The impact of his work can be seen all around the city, of the quality housing that's been offered to people in need, the Arlington campus, the education project, the Salishan development, and the Rise on 19 are some of the most prominent examples of his achievement in recent years. But what's most important to me, Michael, is that you have always exhibited a kindness and a patience and a sense of fair play and justice to the people you work with and to the vision and to the work that you do. Under Michael's leadership, he had been able to hire and sustain, mentor, and inspire one of the most fabulous management team I've had the opportunity to work with. So he's going to leave the Tacoma agency in very capable hands. However, I was just telling with somebody a little while ago that Michael's shoes are so big that nobody is going to be able to fill those shoes. So whoever is going to come in to take his place, we're going to allow that person to bring his or her own shoes as long as she or he followed his steps and followed the vision and the legacy that Michael had been able to make, that make this community a better place. That would be okay with me. Personally, I'm thankful, Michael, for your patience with me to educate me about the need, the very, very critical need of our citizen in the community. And you've inspired me to be a better community person. And for that, I'm very grateful. But for everything else, I think that we owe you a big, big, big thanks. And I know that you're not just going to be disappearing in the sunset or go to New York and join the Yankee. You're still going to be around here and continue to make a difference. So thank you, Michael. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Minh-Anh. All right, our fifth commissioner is Dr. Michael Purter.
Good afternoon to each of you, my brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, to our board chair, Mr. Stanley Rumbaugh, to our Congresswoman and my friend, Ms. Marilyn Strickland, and to our wonderful mayor in her absence, Ms. Victoria Wood, and to each of my commissioner board members, to our hardworking authority staff, to all of our community partners, and to all the various representatives from various offices here in the great city and great state of Washington. And last but not least, to our honoree, Mr. Michael Mirra. A year ago, next week, I came onto the board during COVID, as you know, and some of the things that previous commissioners were able to do with Mr. Mirra and other staff agency persons, I wasn't able to do because of the restrictions in place. But nevertheless, on a high note, Mr. Mirra, we would conversate, we would have deep conversations about the responsibilities of commissioners, the opportunity to help people in this great city that we live in. And so with that being said, I want to say that it is a grand occasion and a blessing with favor to celebrate him for 19 years of public service. I say that it has and is a pleasure to have had the opportunity to serve and learn from our retiring executive director, Mr. Mirra, who wrote that repetition is a good thing. It is healthy. It helps in many positive ways to improve a person's accountability and responsibility in all areas of one's life. It's a blessing to the Tacoma Housing Authority that Mr. Mirra is departing the agency on an incredible and extremely high note, and having so many wonderful and encouraging things to say about the board and staff that I have read. Quote, Ms. Mirra says, "Thanks to the board for making THA to be everything necessary to make THA the lively, innovative, effective, mission-focused organization it is and known to be, and is with an appetite for smart risk and commitment to the mission." Mr. Mirra, you depart this agency saying the board is a big reason why you can leave fully assured that THA is in very, very, very good hands. Strong finances, strong community partnerships, a strong board, and a very talented staff. Ms. Mirra, retirement is one of life's greatest rewards. Some people never reach it. You did. Enjoy it to the fullest. May God forever smile on you and your family in all that you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
See, this tree isn't actually growing here. We put this here. And there's a reason for that. So Michael is going to speak next, but I would like you to come up here now, please, sir. This is a dedication tree. And no, right here, because it makes a better picture if you're standing in front of the tree. Dedicated in honor of Michael Mirra for years of outstanding leadership to Tacoma Housing Authority. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin, said the bard. I don't think we're going to make Michael plant this, but we are going to put it in the ground here in Salishan as a lasting and enduring memory of his work. So thank you, Michael. You can hang on to that. And now the star of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's an old Queen's saying. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So thank you for this tree. Does anyone know what kind of tree is it?
White oak.
Thank you. Those were very kind words you just heard about me from some impressive people. And I appreciate them down to the bottom of my heart. I've never retired before, so I wasn't sure what I was going to tell you. But one of the things I do want you to know is I want you to understand those kind words to be about you, as well as about me. The staff, the partners, the community leadership that made everything you heard possible, that made it effective, meaningful, and enjoyable. And the other message I wanted to convey was what the commissioners said. One of the reasons I can leave is the full confidence that THA is in very good hands. It is in very good shape. And I want to thank people for that, the people who make that possible. And to do that, I want to explain what I think THA needs to make the best use of its future. Because I'm very optimistic about the future of Tacoma Housing Authority. And it is well equipped to make the best use of it and to create that future. And I think of four things it needs. And the first thing you saw displayed today is it needs the board it's got. I have some acquaintance with boards of other housing authorities and other organizations, and I think ours is the finest I've ever seen. It has everything the board needs to make this organization what it needs to be. It's got the commissioners who are sophisticated, who are dug in deeply into this community, who care about it deeply, commissioners who understand the mission and give it the language that allows us to explain it to others, an appetite for risk. This board does not scare easy, and that's essential. And I want to say a special thank you to Stan. Stan and I have traveled this road for 20 years together, and he's been the rock of the agency through all the many changes. And Stan, I am very grateful for this partnership. The second thing the organization needs to be ready for this future is already in place, and which is something that comes from the board, a firm understanding of its mission, and an ability to explain it to ourselves and to others. And that starts with the board's statements of vision, mission, and values. The vision statement I think of as our wish for the world. That everybody in it have an affordable, safe, and nurturing home. That neighborhoods are attractive places to live, work, attend school, shop, and play. And that everybody has the support they need to succeed. Not just as tenants, but as Shennetta and I talk about a lot, as parents, students, wage earners, and builders of assets. So we don't have a world like that. Far from it, as this audience knows. Which brings us immediately to our mission, which is to help bring that world about in our patch of the world. And our patch of the world is Tacoma and Pierce County. And our job here comes in parts, as the board gives it to us. And the first part, the guts of it, is to provide high-quality, affordable housing to people who need it, with a focus on the neediest. And we do that in a number of innovative ways. But that's the easy part, because the world knows how to do that when it wants to. It doesn't want to too often, but when it does, the world knows how to finance housing for low-income persons, how to design it with first-rate architects like Doug Ito, how to build it, manage it, rent it. The world knows how to design and run rental assistance programs and provide supportive services. The world doesn't know nearly as much as it needs to know about the next part of the mission the board has handed us, which is how do you do that work? How do you spend those housing dollars, not just to house someone, but at the same time get two other things done? First, to help them succeed, as Stan recounted. And we want that success not only for grown-ups, but emphatically for children and young people, because we do not wish them to need our housing when they grow up. This explains our enormous investment in educational partnerships. And second, how do you spend those housing dollars to help our communities succeed? And when they do so equitably, with a shared prosperity. So they become places, as the mission statement states, that everybody experiences that are safe, vibrant, prosperous, attractive, and just. And the world doesn't know how to do that. And what I so admire about the people at THA and our many partners is their effort to find it out. And when it works, it's a good use of a housing dollar. And that understanding of our mission makes THA more than a real estate developer, more than a landlord, more than a provider of rental assistance and services. It makes us what we seek to be, which is a social justice agency with a technical mission. And that's the gift from the board. And the board has given us the language to explain it, and the ability to explain it gives THA the third asset it needs, which is the partners and the funders. Because when you have a mission like that, as broad as that, which entails almost every other civic interest, other partners see their mission in ours and makes them eager for partnership. Because they know it's hard to talk about almost any other civic interest without talking about housing. It's incomplete to ask how a student is doing in school without also asking if she or he are adequately housed. Child welfare and housing, mental health and housing, health and public health and housing, transportation policy, growth management, land use, wage progression, justice and racial justice in housing. It puts THA at the intersection of almost every other civic discussion, and that leads to partnerships. And the final thing that THA needs, and which it has, as Shennetta and Dr. Purter mentioned, is the finest staff I know of. And I could tell you all the qualities they bring to this hard work of substantive expertise, focus on the mission, focus on the clients, a loyalty to themselves. But I cannot match the language that their clients and partners and some of their colleagues say. So I brought some emails that I have received about the staff that I want to read. This is almost a random selection of a lot of emails and letters I get. And the first is actually a transcript of a phone message left for Cheryl. Is Cheryl here? Cheryl Kehoe, about Tiffany. Tiffany Price. Hi, Tiffany. And the caller introduces herself. It's 4:30 on Thursday. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't get much family support. I don't really have a lot of people to talk to, but I wanted to say thank you for your kindness today. It meant the world to me, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know you're busy, but I just appreciate it so much because I know you don't have time to sit and chat with everybody, but you took the time to talk to me. This is a letter that Byron got from a client. Since I've been able to join the housing program, my life has changed. When I was accepted, I was currently homeless, staying in the shelter with my 3 children, really just trying to get back on my feet. Since we've gotten a home, our whole life changed completely. From us struggling to now being able to provide the children with some stability. They're academics started to get a lot better. My oldest daughter went from reading at first grade level to fifth grade level. She also got the Most Improved Award this year, to walking out of fifth grade feeling confident and believing in herself again. My middle daughter went from not knowing or willing or wanting to learn to adding and subtracting and being able to do it now, to be excited about learning. I am blessed to be at THA. Along the way, we got to meet some pretty nice people. Every THA caseworker I have ever met have been nothing but understanding and helpful. This next one is from a counselor at First Creek Middle School. And it's about something Frankie Johnson did. Is Frankie here? No. I'm going to talk about her anyway. Frankie Johnson runs our property management department. She's the landlord. And her department issued 2 eviction notices to 2 families in Salishan because of some pretty serious misbehavior by their teenage daughters. And the counselors for these children intervened and called me up and asked us to reconsider and find ways for consequences that don't include eviction. And I passed that off to Frankie, who didn't need to hear anything more. And she talked to those young women, talked to their families, worked out a reasonable consequence. And I wrote to thank the counselors, and I got this reply. Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for this message, and also for sending your email to Carla Santorno. In this job, it is really nice, energizing bonus when our work gets recognized. More importantly, and this is about Frankie, thank you for your leadership in this community and for your quick and clear response to our request to look into the family's eviction. Really is great to see the shared social justice values that you mentioned. And even better to see a large organization like THA move so quickly to make sure these values are reflected in the work. What a beautiful thing when 2 large organizations like TPS and THA can work together to support the family and make the community stronger. What I think to be revealing about that email is its observation that just because an organization is big and maybe because of size is tempted to treat things as wholesale matters, THA has not forgotten that our work is really retail. It's family by family. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of listening and care. And if Frankie was here, I'd say more about how good she is at that. This next email is from a construction partner, Gary Merlino Construction, who built the infrastructure for Phase 2 and Phase 3 at Salishan. We called them in when our previous partner walked out on us on 6 days' notice. And it was an emergency. And I sat down with Charlie Oliver, the principal at Gary Merlino, to tell him a little bit about THA and what he was getting into. And deep into the project, he writes the following. Michael, I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know what a pleasure it has been to work with you and your team on the Salishan project. We have been part of so many projects over the years. This is a wide-ranging construction company with lots of national experience. So many projects over the years, but rarely experienced the collaboration and dedication that your organization exhibits daily. This next sentence is about Tina Hansen, who's here. Tina, where are you? I know in my conversations with Rule Reedy weekly that he and Tina worked through numerous challenges and difficulties throughout the project, and did so amicably and always in the best interest of the project and both parties. I still remember our conversations prior to the start of the project in your office, and your statements regarding the integrity of your organization and your staff. I want you to know that these principles show throughout your entire team and throughout the project. And I'm sure you know it is very rare to conduct business with any entity in which the culture is so consistent throughout the entire organization. Gary Merlino Construction is proud to be part of your team and associated with such a special project like Salishan. The next one is also from a construction partner, Walsh Construction, that built Salishan. And they wanted to build Bay Terrace, but they didn't get the bid. Tom Matthews, their president, wrote me this. Michael, I thought a bit more about our unsuccessful efforts to secure the Bay Terrace project. The most disconcerting aspect of the outcome is that we will not have the opportunity to continue working with THA for some period of time. We have enjoyed working with THA more than any public agency. You and your staff have epitomized teamwork. We never take that for granted. We admire that you ran a fair and transparent selection process. While fair and open dealing is fairly commonplace in the Northwest, THA does it with a grace and calmness that makes we at Walsh very envious of anyone fortunate enough to secure your business. I like that email because it describes how the THA staff regard business partners and how we treat them and how we expect to be treated. Enterprise Community Partners is a national organization that we use for financing. They helped us buy James Center North. Jamie Madden is one of their senior directors for this part of the country, and he's retired from Enterprise. And on his way out, he wrote me this email. And this is a person who does business all around. It's been a true pleasure getting to know you and work with you over these years. When I bring THA up in conversation, I describe it as, quote, probably the best housing authority in the country. Seeing your work changed my thoughts on what is possible to expect from a public housing authority. Thank you for being a wonderful partner. I read those to you because I didn't want the words to come from me. These are partners, clients, and colleagues who actually know the staff as well as I do, and certainly experience the staff on a different way. Even more intimate are the staff themselves who write me about what it's like working at THA and what they think of their colleagues. This is from Steve Highnote. Is Steve here? Hey, Steve. Steve, I'm going to read your email. He wrote this to all staff. I'll just read part of it. I'll leave out the part where you talked about your time at those curious training camps on the Afghan-Pakistani border. Steve was on our maintenance crew, and then he became an inspector. And as inspector, got to look at the work throughout the city of many other property management firms. And he talks about our crew. Our maintenance turn team is top-notch, one of the best out there. Their attention to detail is high caliber. I have 40 years of maintenance and construction experience, so I can say this with confidence. I find it hard to find any problems with the work in our units that the turn team does. And here I'd like to say a special word about how hard that work can be. So you're a maintenance staff going into a unit and maybe the prior tenant trashed it. And how tempting it must be to think, well, if they don't care, why should I? And what's magical about the THA staff is they bring their own standards to the question. I would also like to express my appreciation for being part of the THA family. I couldn't ask for a better organization to finish out my working career. I believe what we do is noble work. And the feeling that this organization's genuine caring for its employees is amazing. And the way everyone goes to bat for our clients and has each other's back is also amazing. So thank you, maintenance, and everyone else that is part of this great THA family. And the final one I'll read from staff is from Melody Jacobs. Is Melody here? This is one she wrote to me. This was soon after, this was when we found out the government was going to shut down again, the national government, which is always, of course, a concern for federally funded organization like THA, and it requires a lot of thought about how we're going to manage it. And there were other things going on. And Melody writes, and the last sentence of this became the motto of the Property Management Department. I believe those of us who provide a public service are impacted so severely on an emotional level. Many of us work face-to-face with our clients on a daily basis, so much so that we not only know them, but we know their families and their friends. And we worry not for ourselves, but for them. It is stressful, but I feel like maybe this is where we excel. We take these hits as individuals and as an agency on the whole. It is painful, it does hurt, and it is devastating at times, but we pull it together with grace, poise, and in Shaw's case, a little panache, and finance and muscle. We are enduring some very trying times right now and are under a lot of pressure. However, we happen to handle both of these well. This time is no exception. If it lasts longer than anticipated, some agencies may not fare well, and I'm sorry for that. But our agency and our board has always planned well for any possibilities that may occur, so well, in fact, that our contingencies have contingencies. I'm grateful for that. You have a very strong team under you, comprised of very strong individuals. And she concludes, we got this. I asked around staff, what did they want to hear from me today? And some said I should list the top 10 hits of the last 20 years, the top 10 achievements. And I don't have time for that. And if I gave you the top 10 hits, I'd have to also give you the top 10 strikeouts. I just want to mention one, and that's Arlington Drive campus for homeless youth and young adults on the north end of Salishan. The reason I want to mention this is it's emblematic of some themes I'd like to elicit. Arlington Drive is dedicated to the proposition that the homelessness of young people without families is both intolerable and solvable. And the solution looks like Arlington. It is a very unusual thing for a housing authority to undertake. THA took a lot of financial risks and programmatic risks to get this done. And the first theme I think it elicits is THA's powers of insistence. In the 5 or 6 years it took to figure this out, to assemble the financing and the partnerships, it could have gone off the rails at any time. But THA's board didn't blink. Or if they blinked, they didn't show it. And I think it shows what you can accomplish if you insist upon it, if you envision it well, and you share your insistence with the people you need to get it done. And in this case, the challenge was not only how to pay for it all, but how do you house people who need services THA does not provide, does not know how to provide, and doesn't want to learn? And the answer is you do the first-rate community partners who do know how to do that work. And we are lucky here, as we are with our partners throughout my time, with Community Youth Services and the Social Impact Center of the YMCA of Greater Seattle, who've been doing that service work for decades. And that distilled what THA's job was, what our contribution was, to provide the land, to assemble the financing, to have the real estate development and construction expertise to build it, the property management expertise to run it, the rental assistance to give it an income stream, and what might be the most important contribution of all, because these young people haven't yet learned to expect it, which is a warm welcome. And Arlington Drive, I think, for me, stands out as the occasion to put all of THA's strengths on display. And leaving at the time when it was done and its financing was secure felt to me like a consummation and a good time for me to leave. Arlington also has a link to my other career. I spent almost 25 years practicing law with legal services. And I'm very pleased that some of my legal service colleagues are here. I spent 10 of those years litigating something called the homeless children's case on behalf of homeless families with children that reached the Supreme Court with a favorable decision, the state Supreme Court, a favorable decision, Christmas Eve, 1997, and then a favorable settlement with the legislature 2 years later. That lawsuit started representing 3 plaintiff classes: homeless families with children, homeless families who needed housing to prevent or shorten their children's foster care placement. The foster care issue also led me to Stephen Norman, the King County Housing Authority director, who's here, because he at the time was in a wrestling match with DSHS trying to get referrals for the new Family Unification Program vouchers. And a gift of that experience has been just a wonderful friendship and mentorship with Stephen just up the road. What luck to be just down the road from the finest housing authority with the finest director. But the lawsuit had a third class of homeless young people without families. And the judge cut them out of the lawsuit, saying they didn't belong in the lawsuit because they presented issues sufficiently distinct. They needed their own lawsuit, which we never filed. And that always felt like a hole. And with Arlington, it helped to fill the hole in my heart about it. What is the board doing hiring a lawyer to be the executive director of the Tacoma Housing Authority? And this is my insight into the board. Because I'm not a finance person. As Ken Shalek knows, where are you, Ken? Our wonderful finance director who showed me just endless patience answering all my questions. I'm not a property management person. I'm not an operations person. As Roberto knows, I'm certainly not a real estate development person. I did have an intimate legal knowledge about the law governing affordable housing, and that was useful. I do know how to read the fine print and take advantage of it. I do know as a lawyer that if you have a problem to solve, you do not start with the law. You don't ask the law what the answer is. But I think why I turned out to be a reasonable match for the job was because of an insight the board had that I didn't have until sometime later, which is a good part of the executive director's job is to be an advocate. And I knew how to study the case, how to understand it and make it with a wide variety of audiences. And it felt right. THA, as with legal services career, taught me that work in service to other people is a privilege. The Chicago writer Studs Terkel talks about work, or writes about work. He says, work is a search for daily meaning as well as daily bread, for nourishment as well as cash, for astonishment instead of torpor, for a sort of life rather than a Monday to Friday sort of dying. And I think at THA, we have been lucky to find work of such meaning. You work at THA and you enlist yourself in age-old struggles over poverty, economic injustice, racial injustice, the role of place and housing. It means that you are face to face with questions that entail the full cross-section of the community. And you see the work up close. and that work makes the work hard and heartbreaking. But you also sometimes see the answers, and that makes the work meaningful. Listen to one of your clients. I'm going to read how she describes what's at stake, the lives in the balance, and what victory looks like. She wrote this to one of our wonderful staff people, Amber Prentice. I'm writing this email because I want you to all know how important this college housing assistance program was for me personally. I started going back to school when I was 25. There were a lot of obstacles along the way, including me breaking my leg and having multiple surgeries, which in some cases required me to leave school for a while. In addition to that, I'm a single mom. I had twins when I was 20. But I kept moving forward. I was able to work full-time while taking my prerequisite classes because they were online. I had another child right in the middle of my last prerequisite class. Once I got into the TCC nursing program, a very competitive program, I was no longer able to work full-time due to the demands of the program, but I still had to work. Had very little help or support. I cleaned houses. I did home care for the elderly. I worked as a process server, but still was not making enough to live on. We became homeless during the program. At one point, we had to live in one bedroom in an apartment with 6 other people. All 3 of my children, ages 12, 12, and 4. This was an extremely difficult time emotionally and financially, trying to fulfill my obligations to the program, save money, care for my children alone. I thought it would break me. This program was a godsend. Being able to have my own little safe space without other people. I was able to successfully finish the registered nurse program. I'm scheduled to take my state boards for my nursing license. I will soon be making enough money to support my family. I don't know if I'd have gotten through all of this without your help. And now I get to have a fulfilling career caring for others and rest easy knowing my children are safe. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll be starting my bachelor's degree program in nursing next year. I have goals even beyond that because of a renewed confidence in myself for finishing this extremely challenging RN program. Then she ends with a sentence I would end with you all. Please keep doing what you're doing. There are others out there like me. So work and service to others is a privilege. It's especially so when you can share with other people who feel the same privilege. Sharing this hard work with you all, both staff and partners, has been the privilege of my life. Thank you.
I'm compelled to say something about Arlington Drive because Michael sees that as the capstone, perhaps, of his career at THA. In my profession, the stories don't always come out that well. But we seek to divert young people in particular, people who have had little or no opportunity and who have been drugged down by their circumstances. And we can divert these young people to housing instead of homelessness. We can divert them to positive activity instead of drug addiction. We can divert them from a life of criminogenic behavior to one that is productive, and a life of imprisonment to one that is fulfilling for themselves. And along with the rest of the letters that Michael read, I think that that speaks volumes about why many of us do this work. So, all right, finally, we have Mr. Douglas Ito with SMR Architects who wants to say a few words.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. I'll keep it quick because I know it's hot out there. There are 3 things that I've gotten to know about Michael Mirra. One, there's no man that wears a hat better. Two, there's no man that expounds Brooklyn Queens Day more. And three, that he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. I was the principal in charge for Arlington Drive campus. And I must say that it is one of the more fulfilling projects that I've worked on, especially because of what it stood for and for what Michael stands for. There are 3 awards that Arlington Drive campus is in the running for, 2 of which they're finalists. One is the Affordable Housing Magazine Award, and it's a finalist for that, so if you go to that website and vote for it, you can be a final big winner for that. The other one is, it is a finalist for the ULI Award for Affordable Housing. And the third award, Arlington Drive is not the finalist, but it is the grand award winner, is for the Golden Nugget Award, and I'd like to read a quote from the judges. They said, "A beautifully designed campus environment intended for youth experiencing homelessness or transitioning from foster care. This community is a superior example of how housing can be combined with supportive services at a large scale and effectively serve as a solution for young people in crisis who are in need of a helping hand. With design input from young adults, this 12-bed crisis center and accompanying 58-unit apartment building are designed to include family-style kitchens, demonstration kitchen, dining areas, work-study areas, laundry facilities, and a series of thoughtfully designed indoor and outdoor amenity areas. Built on 3.5 acres, this multi-purpose campus provides inspiration for communities throughout the U.S. looking to solve the need for housing to support our at-risk youth." And the last line is the most important part, that Michael's vision is not just for Tacoma or Pierce County or Washington State. It is a national vision that needs to be met all over the place. And it is Michael's vision that it is here today. And so, we have an award for you, Michael. It is the Grand Nugget Award. There's a nugget in there, but it ain't gold, so don't think there's going to be another project financed from it. And a plaque. Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ito. When we did the groundbreaking at Arlington, I'm going to harp on Arlington Drive a little bit more. We did the groundbreaking there, and at the time, a topic of great national debate was whether we should spend $5 billion to build a wall on the southern border. And irrespective of your views on immigration, which are reasonably subject to debate, it did come to my thinking that for $5 billion, you could build one Arlington Drive in every county in America with a population of 500,000 or more. So think about how you can improve the lives of others with public works. Michael, there is, and I think you already found out, I don't know if it's like you sniffed it out, there's an egg cream cart there that you can line up. You get first in line, and please refill your glass if you can, if you dare. And I invite you all to enjoy some light refreshments with us. Say your words to Michael. We have some videos and more letters in the FIC, the FIC classrooms. You know, the letters that Michael read are like to many of the letters that we receive. And for my part, and I think probably for many of my fellow commissioners' part, that's why we volunteer. That's what the public service is all about. So thank you for coming today. We really appreciate you coming out this afternoon, saying goodbye to Michael, or at least see you around, Michael. And that'll do it for today. Thanks.